Hello and welcome to episode number 5 of the Mr. Smith and Mr. Jones podcast. I'm Doug Smith and with me is...
Give him the old Razzle Dazzle. It's Nathan Jones.
Mr.
Jones.
Razzle Dazzle. I like that. That's a good one.
Okay, I thought about it for a little bit. I definitely was...
Stewed on that a little bit.
I was preparing for it.
That's okay. It's okay. People out there in radio land / podcast land, they don't know these things.
Yeah, well, we have to put in a little preparation for all of you listeners out there, and I have to always think about my one-liners that I come up with every single week.
Yeah.
Week.
Yeah, there you go. Bi-weekly. You gotta get on it, and you gotta make sure you trademark that shit so you can be Larry the Cable Guy and be in Prilosec OTC commercials and be making that money.
If only we can show everyone our teeth, how big of a smile that guy has in
He
that
does
movie.
have some big chompers. He's a guy that definitely needs to be in some like corn cob eating competition. I think he would do well. Speaking
of him, did you see his recent freakouts?
Were they
Jim Carrey's?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen the one where he's just like kind of circling this entertainment person?
Yeah, it's very creepy.
He's kind of lost it a little bit because I don't think he's lost it. I think he's like enlightened himself a little bit more. But
that and a lot of times I think he's doing like a shtick and he's just not coming across as well. The way I think of it is, what was the guy in Back to the Future that played Marty McFly's dad that had a reputation for... what was his name?
I don't remember his name.
Anyways, that guy. He had a poor reputation for being like a hard-to-work-with dude and super odd duck type of thing.
Remember his long hair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's Jim Carrey nowadays for whatever reason. He's just kind of in his own world.
He just exists now. I think he cares. He doesn't care about like our modern society at all. And he's just like, you know what? I'm kind of old, past that prime, and I'm just going to say crazy things.
Yeah. Well, it's got to be strenuous too because anytime he speaks to somebody, they expect a certain level of comedic performance from him, whether it's just casual conversation or something. They're like, "Hey, you owe me a funny line in this conversation,"
and he's just like, "No, I'm not going to give that to you.
Yeah, I don't know you shit. Actually, I'm just casually here trying to enjoy myself at this event, and here you are expecting me to perform like a helper monkey."
And he's just like, "I don't take that shit." So I like that.
Yeah.
I like that aspect of Jim Carrey.
Fire Marshal Bell. But so it's been 2 weeks since we talked.
Yes.
You've seen a couple of movies.
I've seen a couple.
What stood out to you of the movies you saw so far?
Okay, well, I'll just work backwards. So last night I saw Kingsmen: The Golden Circle. And it's directed by Matthew Vaughn. I actually did a review of it this morning on my YouTube channel. Everyone check that out.
Shout out.
If you get a chance to. It was really good. It felt like it was Kingsman, the Secret Service, part 1, but part dos. Yeah. With just...
So 1.5?
1.5 with bigger names. You get Halle Berry in there. You got Jeff Bridges. You got Pedro Pascal, Oberyn Martell.
Channing Tatum.
And Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
He's in there. Yep. And then you also have Julianne Moore as the villain.
Oh.
And she plays a pretty fun villain, but she seems... And I don't want to get too much into spoilers, obviously, but she seems kind of like an okay villain because she's kind of grounded where she's at in the movie.
She's not as over the top as Samuel L. Jackson in the first one?
No, she's pretty over the top. Her character's pretty crazy, especially the setup that they show you. She's in the middle of like the Amazon in these ruins that no one's really discovered, but she's got this whole thing set up where it looks like it's 1950s American graffiti, where there's like a diner and burgers, doo-wop days, and it's really funny. I mean, obviously it's very Matthew Vaughn stylized, kind of just
over hyperlized. Fuck, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Over stylized
for
violence,
sure.
Yeah.
And she kind of plays like a mother who's also like kind of a drug peddler, and that's
very nice.
And so it's pretty cool. But besides that, I think it was a pretty decent film. I mean, if you just turn your brain off, go watch that movie.
Yeah, it's an entertaining popcorn flick. It's not something that's going to be a social commentary by any means.
No, not at all. So I thought some of that actually adds some social commentary in there. The fans going crazy, but I'm going to keep talking. But yeah, the movie was pretty decent if you just need to turn your brain off, obviously. So that was Kingsman.
And you also saw Mother, right?
That movie is fucked up.
Yeah, which I knew it would be. Number one, Darren Aronofsky has a very polarizing catalog of movies. I mean, very well.
Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah. awesome movie, super downer of a movie.
Yeah, I can't watch it again.
No, that's one of those things, like, everyone will agree for the most part that is a fantastic movie, and they will also agree that it fucking ruined their weekend / day whenever they watched it.
But I would say, like, The Fountain, I rewatch quite often. I actually watched it again with some friends the other day, because I watched Mother, which I'll talk about in a second, but I watched The Fountain again with some old high school friends who've never seen the movie. And I didn't really give them too much information, because I just wanted them to watch. And the first 5 minutes, when I watch movies with friends, obviously my friends like to talk a little bit. Yeah. And I actually, ironically, don't talk that much when I'm like, watch the movie.
Absorb the information as it...
Yeah, exactly. But it was like, we watched 5 minutes of it, and then like we were talking a little bit, but then they got zoned in. Yeah. And then we watched the whole movie, and then like for like 2 or 3 minutes straight, like the credits were going, because the music's great in it.
And everyone's just kind of in awe and
silent.
Yeah, pupils dilated.
And
just
I'm just
like
what the fuck did we just see? Yeah. And I like look at them, and I'm like, so
what'd you think?
And then one of them in particular really hit them, and she said that I've only cried twice in a movie, and that was one of them. And I'm like, you're welcome.
Did she state with her earlier?
Yeah, she explained everything that she thought about the movie, a lot of those kind of Eastern kind of influences in that movie, with just transcendence and kind of the nirvana of things. But I loved those movies, and I actually like Darren Aronofsky, but a lot, because he has that hyper stylized kind of he puts metaphors in his movies.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's what I love about it. And so getting back to the metaphor, Mother, I'm not going to give anything away. Just the fact that it's Javier Bardem, Jennifer Lawrence, who shows a lot of boobies in it.
Hey.
Well, the ones that aren't leaked. Where she actually, this is the first time she's done that. Ed Harris and Michelle Pfeiffer, they show up at this house that's just in the middle of nowhere, and this whole movie's a giant metaphor for something. And you literally hear every aspect of the house and every single noise. You hear the water bottle on the table,
super turned up gain on all the microphones,
and it's like kind of nerve wracking. And I have a couple of friends who hated it because of that, especially the last 30 minutes, which is where everything kind of just hits the fan, going 170 miles an hour. But yes, Mother, I loved it, but I know a lot of people who hate it. It's a very polarizing movie, like you said.
Would you consider it, I guess, suspense thriller, if you had to like categorize it in a genre?
I would categorize it as like a mystery kind of mystery drama that has a little bit of like horror elements. Like, it's not a horror movie.
Yeah, I had a lot of people thinking it was a horror movie, and I was like, trailer, that's kind of the way it's marketed, but I'm like, I know Aronofsky, and he's not going to do a horror movie per se. It's got to have some substance to it. Yeah,
it's more of a psychological horror movie, if anything, because it really does get at some things that people don't want to admit to or like really pay attention to. I really want to talk about the metaphor, but I can't, so I'm not gonna.
So yay or nay, go watch it?
Definitely. If you're a movie fan, you're listening to this, go in there with an open mind. Go watch that movie, because personally, I think that movie's gorgeous and a kind of a masterpiece. It's actually one of my favorite movies this year so far.
Sweet. Heavy praise.
Yeah. So that's it. I mean, like, honestly, like, that movie will make you think for a while. And that's the kind of movies I like. Yeah. Movies that will make me like, what the fuck did I just watch? And how do I talk to people now?
Yeah.
How do I just talk to normal people?
Yeah, that's a good description. And you've hit the nail on the head with both movies. So we've got two different movies with two different styles, but both, entertaining in their own right. You got the one, turn your brain off, go watch it, enjoy the popcorn flick. And number two, go in there with an open mind and, absorb what is presented to you intellectually, visually.
If you are that type of person, obviously. So, what have you seen anything this?
No, I'm behind, so I wanted to see Mother, and went on a road trip all last weekend, so I was out of town. I'm going to go see Kingsmen before I see Mother. The biggest thing I'm behind on movies is, I spoke a couple of podcasts about it. It was Movie Pass.
Yeah.
The $10 thing.
I remember that.
Still haven't fucking got my card in the mail. So, fuck you, Movie Pass. Where's my card?
I wonder how many people signed up, though.
Lots. And that was one of the biggest issues. In fact, there's like this big Reddit stream message thing about it, where people have been tweeting at the CEO, and he's been giving random updates. Has
anyone got anything yet?
Yeah, some people have got some, and it's kind of like no rhyme or reason. People have like signed up days after I did, got theirs, and
strange.
Yeah, so apparently they had some
proximity issue.
Apparently they had some complications with the manufacturing company that actually made the cards and was supposed to distribute it. Who knows if that's really true or not? But the CEOs came out and said, "Hey, everyone's going to have their card by October 1st."
Sure. Good luck.
Yeah, so I'm like, at this point, I've already paid $10 for a month that I never got to use, which is annoying.
That is pretty annoying.
I'm not going to call customer service and try to track somebody down for $10 just because that's going to...
I'm sure a lot of people are already doing that anyway.
Exactly, and it's just not a good experience. But that's what I've been waiting for. I've been wanting to really use and test out that. Alamo Draft House here in Springfield, they left a Facebook message that said, "Hey, we accept this."
Yeah,
which was really cool of them.
Yeah.
A lot of people thought this was going to be a negative thing for the movie theater.
I knew AMC didn't like it.
Yeah,
so.
AMC kind of came out and said they weren't for it, but Alamo, they've already came out and said, "Hey, we're great," and that's cool. That's where I want to spend my money anyway. I love that theater. So
that's the only theater I pretty much go to besides that, and occasionally I go to the Moxie.
Mm-hmm. I'll go to the IMAX if a movie warrants.
Yeah,
viewing.
like Dunkirk was the last one that I wanted to see.
I went and saw that at the IMAX. Other than that, I don't see the need to go to Springfield 8 or the IMAX unless there's a true IMAX movie experience that I need to see. So I'm a little behind on the movies as far as theatrical releases.
Yeah.
I've been seeing or watching movies that have been direct, like Netflix originals and things like that, and that's been pretty good.
What's the last thing you saw? You remember?
I gotta get this title right. Is What Happened to Monday?
What Happened to Monday?
Mm-hmm. So it's got Noomi Rapace in it.
Okay, I know that.
Yeah, so from Prometheus and the girl with the dragon tattoo, I think she was in that.
Yeah, she's in the remake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Daniel Craig. So the premise on this, and this was a Netflix original, it's been out for I think a month. It's a collapsed society, so to speak. It's set in, apocalyptic future.
Okay, so dystopian type future.
It's not exactly war torn, but overpopulation is the central premise of this movie. And basically, because of the overpopulation, the government has instituted a one child per family.
Okay, so like China did.
Yeah, very similar. So this woman has was it septuplets, 7 children?
Jeez.
So she had infertility issues.
Woof.
With most infertility issues, they get on drugs, and when they get on those drugs, they end up having a shit ton more children than they ever intended. So a woman has 7 children. She dies in childbirth. I can't remember. It's been a couple weeks since I see it. But anyways, the mother's no longer in the thing.
Yeah.
And their grandfather, played by William Dafoe, kind of raises these children in secret, and they're all identical. So,
okay. Yeah. I think I've seen the trailer of this.
Mm-hmm. So Noomi Rapace plays all 7 children.
She replaced everyone else. All of her clones.
Yeah.
Terrible jokes.
But she plays all 7 characters, and they're all named after a day of the week. And the way it works out is he's devised a scenario in which they all live out this one person's life single days of the week. So Monday would go out on Monday.
Oh, yeah.
She would come back and report, this is everything I did to a T. So Tuesday would know out.
Would do everything. That they would know what Monday did and vice versa.
Yeah. So it was a really cool premise and concept, I thought. I was really pleased with it.
I have a feeling one of them breaks it, and that's how it...
Yeah. What happened to Monday is... so Monday doesn't come home from work one day, and they all...
That's where it starts.
Yeah, that's where the plot starts to unravel.
That's where people want to watch the movie. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah, I've got to hand it to Noomi Rapace for doing such a good job of playing several distinct characters, because that's really what makes or breaks something like that. Is if it's 7 different wigs but the same character, you're like,
they all have different personalities and everything.
She did a really good job of distinguishing all of them in between. So
just like Split was a little earlier this year. Yep. That's good.
Yeah,
it's good.
But other than that, that's all I've seen as far as recent movies out there.
Any movie news? I heard about Terminator.
Yeah, so Terminator, that was a big thing. I got excited, and I also got super scared at that, because I'm still so reluctant.
I didn't see Genesis.
I saw it, and it was a fucking garbage pile.
I heard.
Yeah, but movie news, Linda Hamilton came out and announced she's going to be reprising her role in the upcoming Terminator movie that James Cameron's going to come back and produce. Not going to direct. He's going to produce.
He's doing all his avatars.
Yeah, he's busy, but the fact that he's going to have a hand in it, he's going to make sure it's not a steaming pile of shit.
Yeah, for sure. Like the last two.
And in fact, Tim Miller, the guy that directed Deadpool, is supposedly directing this movie.
Oh, that's cool.
I think it's in good hands.
That's awesome, yeah.
That's a pretty sweet fallback, for the guy that didn't get Deadpool 2 for whatever reason.
Yeah, because Marvel, I guess not Marvel, it would be Fox would be like, no, this is, now that you made money, give us the...
Listen to us. We know what we're talking about. He's like, why don't you listen to me? Obviously, I know what I'm talking about.
They finally hit their stride with Logan and Deadpool, so... Yeah. But anyway, back on Terminator.
Schwarzenegger came out today and actually said that this movie officially is going to ignore Genesis like it never happened. So, which is good. I love the Terminator franchise, but the downside of it is like the storyline and the plot.
So convoluted, and all the timelines.
Yeah, because at this point they've tried to reboot it like 3 times.
Sure. Yeah.
And whether or not they say, hey, this ignores this movie, it's still in the back of your head. You're like playing the sequences of those films in your head, like, well, this is what happened here and this is what happened there. So there's no really other details surrounding this movie as far as where it takes place in this new / previous timeline. Is it a continuation after Judgment Day? Are they going to ignore number 3? I'm not sure with that, but they have said Arnold Schwarzenegger is going to come back and reprise a role. It didn't say the Terminator per se. And then Linda Hamilton was going to come back and actually play Sarah Connor, because that was my thing. I was like, well, is she going to come back as Sarah Connor or is she just going to be in the movie? Because that's 2 entirely different things.
She comes back in a DeLorean with.
So it'll be interesting to see 60-year-old Sarah Connor, because I hope they just play on that age, and because both obviously both Arnold and her are old, up in years,
and so maybe have some kind of like way in the future, kind of dystopian, kind of like what's going on now.
Yeah, and they've kind of alluded to that in Judgment Day. They kind of showed what the future was supposed to look like, and that's been one of the many criticisms of the franchise. Is people said, "Hey, we want to get to the war. We're talking about the war. We want to see the war, between man and machine, and we want to see John Connor rise to this revolutionary, leader position." Unfortunately, we never really got that in any of these,
for sure.
Any of these movies whatsoever.
No, because it costs too much money probably to think about. So,
other movie news. So we talked about it last time we were on the podcast that they fired Colin Trevorrow from Star Wars Episode 9. Maybe 4 days after we had that podcast, they came out and said J.J. Abrams is going to come back and write and direct it. So that's good news and bad news. It depends. There's a lot of people that were, on the fence on this, and there's some people that are already putting a petition around to get him fired.
They're just they're like, let's watch South Park and
I
point out that J.J. Abrams has done this again. But I give the man a chance. I think
I enjoyed Force Awakens. I completely see the correlation between it being kind of a
rehash of New Hope.
A rehash of New Hope, but I'm fine with that.
But yeah, honestly, I don't think people understand that because the prequels were a mixed bag for a lot of people, that
they really needed to play it safe and do it right.
Exactly, they needed to play it safe, and I think that with The Last Jedi coming out this December, I think it's going to be something different. It's not going to be like Empire Strikes Back at all.
No,
and that's good. Empire is a fantastic movie. It's one of the best sequels of all time, but I think it's going to be its own thing now, and I think that's what Episode 9 is going to be too. Because they, like we were saying, it had to play it safe.
Yeah, and plus, for it supposedly being the bookend of the the story, so to speak, I feel much better handing it off to somebody that, number one, had something to do with this new / this final trilogy, this creation. He's going to be in the right mindset. I've always enjoyed his writing. He's a fantastic writer.
I love Super 8.
Yeah, he's a great...
And Star Trek.
Yeah, he's a great director. Obviously, he loves lens flares, but other than that...
Yes.
You can't really fault his directing ability because he produced, great film after great film after great film. He really hadn't had any duds, so to speak.
No.
And he's a very busy guy. He's executive producing TV shows left and right, and all those TV shows have been doing well. He's constantly doing stuff, so hopefully he'll take a breather for a while, focus on Episode 9, and we'll get the fitting end of everything that we deserve.
We'll just see how Last Jedi is, because I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, big things.
Are the Jedi dead? Are they gone? Who knows?
Yeah. Find out, was it December 17th?
December 17th. Yeah, before Christmas.
Yeah.
Which I'm looking forward. I mean, I'm already. I'm just ready for it.
Let's do it. My body's ready. And final movie news. There was a funny thing that. Well, I say funny. I think it's funny.
I'm probably going to find it funny.
Yeah, you'll probably find it funny.
We're horrible people, by the way.
Yeah. Tom Cruise was named in a wrongful death lawsuit surrounding. Yeah. So he's not specifically being sued, but he was named as a cause, so to speak, or a perpetrating factor of the accidental deaths of 2 pilots that were stunt pilots on the set of American Made, his new movie that comes out next week.
Really?
Yeah. So in the lawsuit, they basically said, egregious working conditions. They named the director Doug Liman and Tom Cruise specifically. They said we're constantly kind of making up things on the fly as far as these flight sequences and the things they wanted to see on camera, and they weren't necessarily grounded in reality, and they were pressed for time and they wanted perfection. So they're like, no, we only get like one shot on this, whatever.
Yeah.
They're working, I guess, super long hours, as most movies do. They'll do, 14-hour, 16-hour shoot days.
So I guess 2 of them died?
Yeah, so there was an accident, and 2 people died, and the surviving families are suing they're suing the production company of the film, and they're also suing the company that was responsible, basically their employers, the avionic employers that were hired for these stunts.
Well, I hate to make the ironic joke, and I don't, everyone out there, I care about human life. Don't hear this, but like American Made. I mean, that title alone makes sense that like lives would be put into that.
Oh, absolutely.
So like that's the ironic part, but like I completely understand where this is coming from.
Yeah, and I should probably clarify why I think it's humorous. I think it's humorous just mainly because Tom Cruise's reputation has always been that of a stickler for details. He's a super controlled freak, hence the Scientology.
And taller than everybody else in his movies.
Yeah, he's 5'2", but no, he does a lot of his own stunts, which is good. But it wasn't a month ago that I saw a video floating around where he was doing a stunt that went wrong, where he was trying to jump a large gap. He had a wire rig on, but he still came up short and basically bounced his chest off a ledge and injured himself pretty significantly. He insisted on not letting a stunt person do it, but that was just kind of his own ego.
Yeah.
But they reluctantly, after he got injured...
He's like, fine, someone will do it.
Yeah, he let a stunt person do it, but he didn't want the stunt person to have a rig.
What? Okay.
Exactly. Tom. So it's that kind of crazy asinine thought that makes me think, okay, if someone's going to get pinned for being a jackass and making inappropriate decisions,
it's going to be
Tom Cruise, and he deserves every bit of it.
As much as I love the guy as an actor...
Yeah,
he's a crazy nut job.
Yeah, great actor, fucking nuts.
Just like both Afflecks.
Yeah,
I think they're both crazy people.
You got to be a little crazy to be successful in that kind of business. I mean, it's just part of it.
There's a part in Kingsmen. I'm not giving anything away, but there's the president or someone, I can't remember who says it, but like they were it was Fox News. They were like reporting on Julianne Moore doing this terroristic threat, and they're like either this person like is a CEO. Or they're a psychopath. I'm like, you gotta be you could potentially be both. It's like that to me with acting. If you got that much power, like you must be some kind of psychotic person.
Well, yeah, to be so talented that you could basically flip a switch and become somebody else. You by definition, you have split personality disorder. So,
I mean, and there's nothing. I mean, there's nothing inherently wrong with that when it comes to entertainment. But working with these people will probably be like awful. Just in general.
Yeah. Especially the ones that don't handle the fame as they should, so to speak.
Like Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Who handles fame.
Of course.
Yeah.
He's been in the business for, 30 plus years? I think after a while you're going to get worn down.
Well, plus also his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole incident.
That was a big thing. And then
a big blow to him.
Yeah. Poor Jim Carrey. Poor Jim Carrey. But other than that, today in movie history... So, Empire Records came out today in 1995.
I've never seen that movie. I've always seen it. I work at a record store.
Exactly.
I know. I've seen High Fidelity, but I know I haven't seen it.
So this is a great movie. There's a shoplifting scene in there that I fucking love.
Oh, man. By the way, everyone at home, you have no idea how many shoplifters this man has caught. But, holy shit. Go on.
But, there's a shoplifting scene in there that it's very almost Kingsman. It's like it's super... hyper
stylized
action sequence, which is really cool. And it's slapstick comedy. It doesn't really take it seriously. It's just somebody stealing CDs from the record store.
Yeah,
but anyways, Empire Records came out in 1995. It was written by a former Tower Records employee, kind of semi-autobiographical of their experiences that they had working in the record business as the business was kind of collapsing. Came out in 95, which again was maybe 5 years before things really hit the fan for the music.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So it was perfectly timed. It was kind of the overall premise is a small chain, CD record company that is being absorbed by this larger conglomerate.
Yeah.
Hence Tower Records. Funny thing about it was Tower Records ended up going out of business in 2005. So.
I know, yeah. And thank goodness my record store,
yeah,
which will remain nameless at the moment.
Yeah. Still kicking.
Still kicking because we're independent, thank goodness.
Also, today in movie history, Almost Famous came out in 2000.
I haven't seen that since I was younger.
Yeah.
Like a kid almost.
Definitely worth a rewatch. Camera Crow film. Another one of those former employee semi-autobiographical. I forget the actual writer, but the writer was a kid journalist for Rolling Stone magazine, and basically he wrote this movie to kind of describe his experiences working for Rolling Stone as an intern writer. So it's a really good movie. Kind of put Billy Crudup up on the map.
It's got an iconic cover.
Yeah, iconic cover. Nominated for an Oscar, I do believe. At one point.
Interesting.
Yeah, fantastic soundtrack. So those two movies came out September 22nd.
Speaking of a little history, I talked to you a little bit about earlier today. At least I texted you it. 1987. So I don't want to spend too much time on it. We could probably do a whole episode on it. But I've been watching a lot of movies that came out in 1987. So this is 30 years ago. There's just so many good movies.
Yeah.
Like Predator. I can do it.
Yep, you can do it way better.
Lethal Weapon.
Too old for this shit.
Too old for the Dan Glover. You got Princess Bride. You've got the Monster Squad, which I've never seen.
Wolfman's got nards.
I know. I want to see.
You need to watch it just for that line.
Just for that line alone. I mean, it's on my wish list. And they're just and then there's Planes, Trains, and Automobiles on there, and there's so many movies that came out in 1987. I just kind of floored by that this came out so.
And the crazy thing about that is a lot of those movies, with the exception of maybe Lethal Weapon, weren't commercial big blockbuster successes. They're over time movies that we grew up watching as children and things like that developed a cult following and got bigger and bigger as they went on. But when they came out theatrically, none of these movies were gangbusters, like I said, with the exception of Lethal Weapon.
Which the crazy thing is, all those movies that we just talked about, so we talked about Predator, Lethal Weapon, and Monster Squad. Shane Black had something to do with all of those.
Yeah.
Which is fucking nuts.
Super coincidental, 7 degrees separation type of shit right there.
He did something with all of those. He was in Predator. He's going to be directing the new Predator, which I'm looking forward to. He wrote Lethal Weapon.
Yep.
And then he half wrote Monster Squad with someone else, which is crazy within the amount of time frame that they had. So I think it's cool. But speaking of another movie that came out a couple years ago, I got a couple of steelbooks.
Oh.
That came out.
It's a pretty stuff.
I'm trying to figure this out, obviously, as I'm doing it, because I'm horrible.
Winging it.
There is a movie that came out in 1977 called Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Fantastic. I've got a massive box set of it over there.
Well, speaking of that, the 4K Steelbook came out. And it's got nice little pop art on it. And I've never seen the movie. And I know, right? It's on my list. I know. Everybody out there, and Doug is just shaking his head.
I was about to say, you can't hear me audibly, but I'm shaking my head in utter disdain.
I know I'm a horrible person, but Best Buy had an exclusive there. I got that, and I also got Wonder Woman. These are my first 2 4K Blu-rays. I have a 4K TV, but I'm not sold completely on the 4K yet. But pretty much these were exclusives, and I wanted to get them.
Yeah, so they look fucking pretty on the shelf. That's all that really matters.
And yeah, exactly. They look gorgeous on the shelf. And speaking of gorgeous movies, I'm going to briefly talk about it. But a couple weeks ago, I don't think it was right after we did our podcast. The week after, Universal Monster Horror movies.
Oh yeah, the releases. Yeah,
they came out at Best Buy exclusively as well. Alex Ross, who is a fantastic comic book artist,
legendary comic artist.
Yeah, he's legendary. I mean, even if you don't know who that name is, you probably just type in his name in Google image, you'll recognize a piece of his.
Yep.
And the thing is, he was commissioned to do 7 of the 8 original Universal horror monster movies. So all of them but the Phantom of the Opera, which was this Phantom of the Opera was the second one, with Lon Chaney Jr. Mm-hmm. And Lon Chaney Sr. was the silent film one that came out in the 20s. That's the only one that wasn't commissioned. So everything else, there's the Wolfman, there's Frankenstein, there's
Creature from Black Lagoon,
exactly,
Mummy.
Yep.
What else?
Bride of Frankenstein.
Okay, that's right.
Dracula, and Invisible Man.
Yep. I always forget about Bride of Frankenstein.
And that's a funny movie, ironically. And I actually think that's where Young Frankenstein got. It's it's a whole built upon that whole thing, that whole premise. But these, if you look it up or have a chance to go to Best Buy, I don't know if they have any copies left anywhere around you, any of the listeners, but definitely go check out that artwork somehow because it's flawless and it's gorgeous. So some of the steelbooks I got.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I like Alex Ross. I didn't know that. I'm like super intrigued now, just because I love Alex Ross's art so much. So you're gonna make me spend some money at Best Buy.
Yes, definitely.
So
definitely go.
Best Buy, if you're listening, Nathan Jones, 5% commission.
I need money.
Send the check. Send the
checks towards me. I'll give you just email me, and I will just find me on email somehow. I got my Best Buy. I'm an Elite Plus member.
Oh,
I'm almost there.
Fucking elite.
I know.
Privilege.
Let's not go there. So you want to get into the questions?
Yeah, let's do some listener questions.
All right. So I always ask listener questions, and by the way, I want to point out to everybody that it takes a lot out of my friends to answer these questions. I have to come up with some pretty crazy questions myself, hypothetically, just to get them to comment on my Facebook. So. Here's some prop questions that we're not answering, but I pretty much said something along the lines of, so what is the best Steven Spielberg movie? Or, why does Andre the Giant and the Princess Bride ask if any of us wanted a peanut? Or, is there life on Mars? That's a hybrid David Bowie, Matt Damon, Martian question I asked. And so stuff like that, I want people to think about these things. So
this is how you baited the honey trap.
This is how I bait them, because I have to come up with a serious question, kind of a stupid a question, and then a stupider question. Yeah.
Which, by the way, we should mention that we do appreciate these questions, because it is nice to see outsiders that enjoy film and media and just see what their wondering quandaries are and what they think about certain things.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that.
Because we can wax poetic about our own opinions, but unfortunately,
we're just two guys.
Yeah, we're two guys, and unfortunately, our opinions aren't considered biblical law yet.
Not yet, everyone. You hear that now. Episode 5, not yet. All right, so let's just do a simple one first. So if someone doesn't cry in the Pokemon in the first movie, do they have a soul?
They have a soul, but they are a terrible person.
I agree. That's one of the first movies that I recall crying in.
Sorry, ... unless they're redheaded.
Which they have no soul.
Yeah.
Therefore.
Inherently, they have no souls.
Gingers have no soul. Simple question that's been asked a lot, actually. If the top at the end of Inception wobbled, doesn't that mean it is reality now, or does it question about it?
Absolutely, it's reality.
I think it's reality too.
I mean,
honestly,
I don't think Christopher Nolan. I can't remember if he ever has explicitly ever came out and said that it was, but it's alluded to so heavily that it's fucking reality. I mean, you can make cases for both. I get it, but it wouldn't make sense tonally for that film to just be, back in a dream.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's cool.
It's a happy ending.
It's happy ending. It's also I kind of like the open-endedness of it, though. Mm-hmm. I know that's really unconventional for a lot of things, but yeah, I could see that more. I lean more towards the side that it's
the same thing with Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
With was he there? Was he dead? Was he actually at the cafe? No, it's the very same thing. Same director, coincidentally.
Yes. Speaking of Nolan again, another question of it. If in Interstellar they go over with the robot a lot about its honesty setting, there's no payoff. What if the robot was a representation of the movie itself? What part of the movie was the 5% not telling the truth?
Well, the 5% it was not telling the truth is the 5% that it was not scientifically accurate.
Sure, yeah.
But other than that, no, I don't think there was ever supposed to be a payoff for the robot. I mean, I think that was just contextually giving you something to visualize and or understand about this robot and why it says the things it does. I mean, it didn't have to have a complete unfolding backstory and explanation.
Yeah. Not every single thing in a movie has some kind of genius level.
No, in fact, if you're not familiar with the terms MacGuffin and red herring, I suggest you Google them, and then you will learn a lot about film history significantly just from those two terms right there.
It's also a nice fallacy, red herring.
Mm-hmm.
Which Home Alone was the worst? Probably 3 or 4. 4.
I was about to say, they made several ones after 1 and 2 that didn't involve Macaulay Culkin, so fuck those.
Fuck those ones. Yeah. I remember seeing them when I was younger, but why was Frodo such a bitch? Well, all that ring pressure, I guess.
Well, first of all,
the easy way out.
The movies, they make light of this just because you don't really get a good sense of it, but you don't understand how fucking far Frodo had to walk his happy barefooted ass. You'd be a little bitch too if you walked barefoot for, was it like 9 years or some shit?
Yeah.
Across the fucking rocky hills, dodging wraiths and orcs. Yeah, you'd be a little...
constantly being pressured to potentially put this ring on and just be like, all right, I'm going to run away just like Bilbo did.
Just imagine yourself being a barefooted heroin junkie,
I can see myself there. I got it. I visualize it. Can everyone out there visualize that?
Yeah, not hard. Just put a ski hat on and you're good.
I've never seen this movie, so maybe you can answer this. Will Terry Gilliam ever make Time Bandits 2?
I hope not. Which that'll probably piss off a lot of... Time Bandits is weird. I fucking own it, but I don't enjoy the movie. I bought it for like $5.
Terry Gilliam's a strange guy.
I've heard it.
I love him.
This cult classic. Everyone loved it or whatever. I never watched it as a child. Maybe that's the reason I don't like it, but it did not hold up for shit. It was really just weird to me, and I didn't enjoy that movie at all.
He's a strange guy.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, I like 12 Monkeys.
There's a lot of 80s children movies similar to Time Bandits that I would love to see a sequel and or remake before Time Bandits. And I think the rest of the populace is probably in that same realm. Like, I much rather see a Masters of the Universe live action remake than fucking Time Bandits.
I'll have to check this out sometime. And
I'll let you borrow it. Like I said, I've got it over here.
Dustin, a mutual friend of ours, asked, what's the real truth behind the Joker's scars?
I mean, that's, again, one of those...
Well, he just
ambiguous.
He's going to keep saying different things.
Yeah, he told you it was like 3 different tales of how he got those scars. That's one of the greatest things about the Joker in the comic. Is still to this day. I mean, the character's been around since 1937. You don't know his real name. Mm-mm. You don't really know hardly anything about him other than he's batshit crazy. He just fucking does things for the sake of doing them. A lot of times he doesn't have this diabolical scheme. He's not like this master strategist. He's just a guy that enjoys fucking anarchy.
And I love that too. And actually, I remember Scott Snyder getting the closest to it, trying to unpiece it. And actually, that was one of really compelling storyline in that New 52 Batman.
Yep.
But like still, just like kind of with like Pennywise, you really don't.
You don't know.
You don't know.
I'm happy with it that way because it takes away. It almost like breaks down the character too much to where they're no longer this enigmatic figurehead anymore. It's like once you see how the sausage is made, so to speak, it's no longer this mystery. It doesn't have the same aura.
I also think that it's crazy because with like comic books, you don't have any like ending with a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
So you have, or like you don't see people. You see a lot of comic book characters die, but they always come back.
Yeah.
Right? So you have a concept like the Joker, whose representation of chaos, who's obviously the opposite of Batman, and you never understand why he's like that, really, particularly. I mean, you get hints at it, like the Killing Joke, you get lots of hints at it, but you'll never get to that point, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, you just, it's like watching a magician. It's much better to guess and speculate on how the magician is pulling off the trick than to actually know that there's just a wire or something. It takes away the mysteriousness of it.
That prestige moment. A couple more questions. Best Mad Max. I've actually only seen the first and Fury Road.
Okay. So when you say the first one, it was
not the good one. I think
okay.
This isn't the sequel like Beyond the Thunderdome and
Thunderdome.
Road Warrior.
Thunderdome is the third one, I think.
Road Warrior second.
Yes,
those are the ones that Road Warrior is the one I've heard good things about.
Yeah. So the first Mad Max, you can tell it definitely wasn't intended to be like this franchise or anything. It was just a standalone, low budget, independent type of film. So I don't hold anything against it. I like the Road Warrior. Thunderdome, it's cool and everything, but it's too like Hollywood commercialized. Sure. Like they jumped in and said, "Hey, let's throw Tina Turner in it," which she didn't do a bad job. Yeah. But you can tell there was decisions made that wouldn't have normally been made.
She sing in the movie?
No, luckily.
Yeah. Well, I would say I'm only seeing the first and the last one. I think Fury Road was an amazing.
Yeah, I loved Fury Road. My only negative about it was I didn't think it involved Max enough.
Yeah,
I think it was almost like he was a side character.
Oh no, it was all about Furiosa.
Yeah, which was fine, but it's just
call it something else. Or something.
Yeah, call it something else.
Make it like Rogue One. Make it some kind of side story.
Yeah, or some middle of the road connecting series.
We'll just do 2 more questions.
Okay.
Were Keller Dover's actions in Prisoners justified? I'm assuming that would be Hugh Jackman's character.
I was about to say, I'll have to look up because I can't answer that question if I don't know. Like, I've seen the movie and I love the movie.
Because, Prisoners is actually, it's Hugh Jackman's character.
Okay.
That's my favorite movie that he's actually done, personally.
So, I'm wondering what actions specifically they're speaking of.
I had to watch it again.
Okay. Because, I assume he means like the kidnapping of the guy and holding.
We don't want to give too much away because if you haven't seen Prisoners, you need to fucking watch that
movie.
Yeah,
it's a fantastic movie. Please watch it. It's got a great payoff and it's a great story. It's very suspenseful, thrilling.
Super intense.
I number one, I am a big fan of vigilante justice. So.
As am I. With just talking about Batman. I know.
Yeah. So I will absolutely say he was justified in his actions, and specifically when you watch the movie, you understand why he's doing the things, and it's not like he's just going off on a will and a pure hunch. He's got some information to go on, which is substantial. So I think it's more than justified in his actions to kind of explain why he's doing it and give him absolute reason.
The cool thing about that movie is like it really puts you in the shoes of like, what would you do?
Absolutely.
And that's
how far would you go?
How far would you go for this one thing that happens? All right, last kind of dumb but question. It's not a dumb question. I love the guy, and I just think it's a funny way to end the show. Best Adam Sandler films.
So that's easy for me.
That's easy. Yeah. Billy Madison,
Happy Gilmore,
and Waterboy.
Okay, yeah.
I'd say the first two.
I'd say 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's fine with me. Yeah, anything. Yeah, I'm trying to think what came after Waterboy. Was it Little Nicky?
Little Nicky, which I actually think is fine.
It's not a bad movie, but it's not nearly on the same level. Longest Yard was kind of
I liked it.
Somewhat of a redemption for him, and shit after that has been.
Click was okay. I'm trying to remember.
Grown Ups 1 was entertaining.
I didn't like it as much, but I understand.
Grown Ups 2, fucking.
That's My Boy actually was not. It was like it's almost.
I like that one.
I liked it. Yeah. I liked it okay
because it's kind of a callback to his earlier days, and it's also kind of a external look. It's like, hey, I'm kind of too old for this shit.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what people for years like go back and make the same movies you did. It's like you don't want to really see Adam Sandler at 45 doing the same goofy noise making character anymore. It just doesn't work. So I applaud him for actually growing as an actor and trying new things. Unfortunately, some of them have just been terrible movies and just
almost.
What was it? The one where he had like a sister and he played the sister.
Jack and Jill.
Yeah, Jack and Jill. That one just looked like.
I'll never watch that. We're getting invaded by dogs now.
So that's what I think about Adam Sandler.
That's what I think of Adam Sandler too. I think he's his days have passed. I think Punch Drunk Love was like the last. Like I like that serious role he's in. It's also Paul Thomas Anderson, so...
Yeah. I'd be more curious for the person that asked this question just to find out if their answer wasn't one of the 3 we listed.
I already know what his is. He's a colleague of mine. He's a professor, and I'm a student. as well. But yeah, his is definitely Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore. So
that's
the stuff.
Yeah, it makes sense. You'd be hard pressed to find someone that would argue anything that isn't those three.
My
movies.
favorite is the Magnificent Six or whatever.
That Netflix bullshit movie.
I don't know.
Yeah, I couldn't even finish that one.
Ridiculous. But yeah, I think that's.
Yeah, we've got 10 seconds on